Breaking news, the Bucks are going to the NBA Finals.
One of the things that I love about Giannis, though, is that he really wants to be the best.
Jrue Holiday is solidified as probably the best defender in the league at the guard position.
Jrue is the best defender in the league as a guard.
That Milwaukee defense is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Khris, I think, is a better playmaker than I thought he was before.
The Phoenix Suns, for the first time in 28 years, are going back to the NBA Finals.
Monty Williams is the most detail-oriented guy.
Talking about plays and screening and all this stuff like that.
And now it makes more sense to me how Chris Paul has been so good for so long.
Playing 4 years with Khris was fucking stressful, but it made me a better player.
What are you supposed to do with two guards like that?
I love his game, the way he gets to his spots.
He's definitely proven me wrong. He's proven a lot of people wrong.
Only person who said something to me was Jae Crowder. I just respect him because he's a dog.
It was perfection. I got to give him a ton of credit.
Chris Paul is headed to the Phoenix Suns.
Look, there's a level of professionalism. There's a level of, I would call it a cutthroat approach to winning that CP has, that I think Devin will gravitate towards right away. And the impact on someone's career, that long-term impact, that to me is what's really important. I think there'll be a great combo for the next however many years, but I think the long-term impact for Devin and for all their young guys, that's why I mentioned, the young guys earlier, for Mikal Bridges and Deandre Ayton, to see CP on a daily basis at his age, his approach, his work, his competitiveness, the accumulation of skills and knowledge. It's inspiring stuff. I feel like the one familiarity for you is Monty, of course.
Right.
And you played for him in New Orleans. What were sort of the factors that made Phoenix specifically such an attractive trade destination for you?
Obviously Book had a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? Book and the young pieces, obviously Deandre Ayton. But then Mont, you know what I mean? Mont.
You're a different player. Not necessarily a different player, but you're a different leader now than you were in New Orleans or when I played with you. And we've talked about this some, away from cameras and not publicly, just in terms of your maturation as a leader. I feel like Monty in some ways learned a lot of lessons, and I got a chance to spend a year with him in Philly and got to pick his brain a ton. Yeah, it was amazing. It's almost like you guys are sort of reconnecting at the perfect time where the personalities now are sort of the right fit and the right match.
It is, man, and it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years since I played for mine. But just like his attention to detail. And I don't even know if you remember, like when we played together with the Clippers, like every time a shot would go up, I yell like body, like to rebound. You know what I mean? Got that from mine. You know what I mean? Like the X's and O's aspect of it and the attention to detail. Like today was our first day of practice, but when we could do those things where we could just do individuals, like the ones, like just seeing him, talking about plays and the screening and all this stuff like that, the attention to like our defensive schemes. And me, like I'm like that too. That's the way Monty like prepares, right, as a coach.
Khris and D Book said this about to Deandre Ayton as well. Khris demands excellence of you. You can't get away with shit. Like playing 4 years with Khris was fucking stressful, but it made me a better player.
Watching film, not to see what I did good, but watching film to see like what I could take advantage of. And once I started doing that, I think that's when I really took off. When I started, even when I watch games on TV now, I just notice every little thing that I can take advantage of that don't take no speed, it don't take no talent or nothing. It's just like, how can I, and now it makes more sense to me how Chris Paul has been so good for so long, because all he do is manipulate everything to take advantage of something that he saw. And he called his play because he knows this team is going to react like this. And once I started figuring that stuff out, I was like, I got it. I got it.
You got the cheat code. So for the listener, pick away 77, fist up 35. These are all offensive actions. I know what they all are. Away is a pin down. 77 and pick or double drags. Fist up 35 is a high pick and roll between the three man and the 5 man. There's only so many things that you can call the 5 actions in the NBA that we run. I mean, we really only run 5 actions. Having been Chris's teammate, I will say that dude tries to manipulate every play. Like, he is looking for a competitive edge on every single play.
Not just trying to figure, not just with your defense or your offense, with the referees, with everything. He is like, and I'm telling you, like, that type of stuff is, once you start figuring that stuff out, man, the game gets so much easier.
Khris, when we had Dame on the first episode of the new show, he was talking about you, and he was talking about your preparation, and I think the word he used was manipulate in a positive way, but how you basically are able to manipulate every situation in your favor. And he was saying, like, the second I learned that about you was when his game changed, and he was like, I wasn't able to take my game to the next level until I saw how, like, Khris operated. When do you think in your career you got to a place where you comfortably were like, I'm able to sort of do that on a regular basis?
Oh, man. Probably my, like, second or third year. I mean, I say that early because once I figured out that pick and roll, that ball screen, right? Like, that's most of the game, right? So once I figured that out, like, when I first came into the league when I was younger, I could shoot, but a lot of times as a younger player, especially back then, you're just nervous about shooting. Everybody went under my ball screens, right? So I just played fast. I played real fast. Like, I was a one-man fast break. So then when I got Tyson Chandler, and it was literally at practice, and once again, I don't feel like I'm that old by no means, but I literally just came up with, what do people call it now? They call it cut back, cross grain or whatever, or something like that. I literally came up with that at practice.
Snake. We call it snake, yeah.
Yeah, I came up with that at practice. Like, at practice, Tyson, right? Because everybody was always trying to go under my screens, and it was like, okay, Tyson, come set it. And then I cut back. And then it just forced the 2-on-1 every time, every single time. And then back then, too, I used to really stop. I would stop and keep you behind me. And Tyson was rolling to the rim, and that was back before defenses had low man, right? Like, low man awareness. Didn't nobody have low man, so didn't nobody know how to stop us. So every time we was going down the lane, either I'm getting a little floater layup, Tyson getting a dunk, or D West getting 17 feet. So then the league evolves a little bit, and they start doing this low man defense. Okay, if you're going to do the low man, then that means that the corner guy is going to be open. And I noticed as I started getting a little older or whatnot, I started to get a mid-range, right? This is some point, I don't even know what year I started really, like, sort of making that my shot. But yeah, it's actually easy. If you watch the game enough and play enough, like, it's all angles, how you set the screen.
Jrue Holiday headed to the Milwaukee Bucks.
My dear friend Jrue Holiday, I hope that you can sense the the sadness in my voice. I think for him, he's got a great chance to win a championship and a great chance to, at the very least, win the East and play in the finals, which is important to him.
That Milwaukee defense is going to be tough, to put it mildly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was already pretty good. It was already pretty good.
I think that we have a good chemistry. And I had to figure it out. I think that's one of the reasons too why in the beginning it started off so slow. But I had to figure out the dynamic between Khris and Giannis, and they've been together for 8 years, and really just where I fit in. And we kind of put in this new system where, like for me, I was in the dunker quite a bit in the beginning, and Giannis would bring up the ball. But even like the shots taken, Buzz telling me he wants me to get downhill, but Giannis is always downhill. That's one thing I feel like is the difference between him and Anthony. Giannis puts pressure on people at the rim. Like either I'm going to get the charge or you're going to get the foul. And most of the time I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. You're going to get the foul. Anthony can go for 50 by shooting all mid-range. You know what I mean? Offensive rebounds and stuff. So the way that Giannis works is like a battery pack. He just never stops coming at you. And for somebody to see that night after night after night, it really sucks. So I enjoy being on the side. I really do. And then Khris, I think, is a better playmaker than I thought he was before. I thought before he was just a scorer, which he gets buckets, but he makes the right reads and stuff too. So being able to play off them has made the game a lot easier. And I'm not gonna lie, fun to play. There was a struggle there where I'm like, all right, I feel like I'm just kind of running up and down and I'm sitting and running to the dunker. But now we're in this groove where it's, I feel like they trust me, especially Giannis. Khris, I think from the beginning, he knew, but Giannis had to trust me. We had to fill each other out a little bit.
Kevin, I want to ask you about Jrue specifically, Jrue Holiday, because we've talked to a bunch of people on this podcast. Iggy came out on a podcast recently, and he said Jrue's the best defender that he's seen. Damian Lillard said he's the best defender he's seen. I feel like amongst our peers, Jrue is up there, and I think he's only made like one all-defensive team. And having been his teammate this year and watched him literally lock up people 1 through 5, whether it was Damian Lillard or Nikola Jokic, he guarded everybody and did well against everybody. And I just feel like there's this disconnect about who gets votes.
Yeah, Jrue Holiday is solidified as probably the best defender in the league at the guard position. The way he, well, when we talk about defense, a lot of people don't really understand what defense really means. You know, it's a force for different positions, especially at the point guard. The stuff you got to do to guard, they don't get a lot of credit for fighting over screens, and especially now they're getting screened at half court. Guys are running off a pin down. So I feel like it's a huge discrepancy between what the players think and what the media thinks. It's just I mean, because we're in it every day. We understand what a good possession of defense is, and we understand how a lot of these guys are undervalued, and that perception goes a long way. So
you put Jrue on Boston, you put Jrue in Utah, and you put Jrue in LA with the Clippers, and all of a sudden his defensive advanced stats are through the roof. And all of a sudden he's now considered maybe a defensive player of the year. And so I think he gets knocked a little bit because our team defense wasn't great this year.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely plays a huge part. You know, when you're surrounded by good smart defenders, you know, you're definitely gonna shine. You know, but he could, like you said, he could stand out anywhere. You know, you put Jrue in any system, any coach is gonna ask him to guard the best player. I mean, we played them in 2018 second round, and he guarded me the whole series. And he was picking me up full court. He was guarding me in the post. And I actually, it was tough to dribble on Jrue Holiday. He slides his feet so well. He got good hands. He's strong. He got good instincts. Like, I gained a lot of respect for him in that series because he went from guarding me to Clay to Steph to guarding Draymond, neutralizing pick and rolls. Like, he's special.
What did you learn from the Pelican series a couple years ago? That seemed like that was a big moment for you guys. You guys finally had a high seed. You were the 3 seed that year, and you got swept. Yeah, and the way they guarded you was a little different.
But New Orleans, it was like sometimes it wouldn't even be a pick and roll. I would just be dribbling to half court, and they would just like run at me. And then the person on the weak side would just run over like and take away the first pass, and I was being caught off guard. And I think that was when I realized that I was gonna have to start playing like a smarter game, just not being as predictable. Like I don't think I play a predictable game, but at that time it was like I felt like they knew it was too easy for them.
Did Jrue guard you that series? Like I'm saying,
Yeah,
was it? Yeah,
he guarded me. He's the best defender in the league. Like out of the guards, I think he's the best defender. And even after that series, everybody was like, "Man, Jrue Holiday did his out." And I was like, after the series, I was like, he did a great job. Like he's a great defender. But I was like, they just trapped the hell out of me and blitzed me with two people the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So say it with some context. You know, we got our pride as players. Like
sure.
Don't act like don't act like I was just out here on the island. He had some, you know, he did a great job. I love Jrue.
We were in the middle of the game against Utah the other day. I think we were at the free throw line or something, and Joe Ingles turned to both of us and was like, "Yo, you're the best defender in the league." Like he just the way he stays in front of guys.
He is, bro.
He'll full on reach, miss the ball, and somehow get back in front of the ball. It's unbelievable.
No, he is, bro.
I don't know if you saw this, but we had Pat Beverly on a recent podcast, and he said the toughest matchup for him is you. And you're saying Jrue is the toughest guy that guards you, but is there
Jrue is the best defender in the league as a guard?
Yes.
Who did you model your game when you were growing up after?
When Devin Booker went to Kentucky, that's when I really started to watch him, and I love his game.
People have made that comp. I think people on the show have made that comparison between the two of you.
You know, like I said, I love his game, the way he gets to his spots, and you know he can score with the best of them. And I just think he's so fluid and skilled. You know, he can just really score the ball. But I think our bodies are different because I got short arms, like really short arms. So, so my body's a little different than his. But
you and me both, pal. You and me both.
Jrue, granted, you're in the NBA, so you're dealing with the best athletes on the planet. But have you had any moments with Giannis where you're like, "What the fuck"?
Oh, all the time. All the time. All the time. I mean, there's been games where he takes one dribble from half court, and then just dunks the ball, damn near from the free throw line. And I'm like, and you know he has that long step and that gather step, and it kind of looks like a travel and whatever it is. But even with the travel, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I think I'm a pretty good athlete. This dude he really should be like in Space Jam. He really should. Where like your arm just stretches and your legs are like, it's some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. One of the things that I love about Giannis though is that he really wants to be the best. So him taking fadeaways or turnarounds, 15-foot jump shots, like one dribble pull-ups, like he really practices that every day, like faithfully every day. And I tried to get JJ to Milwaukee so that maybe he could help us with that. Just make it a little bit more consistent, but or even just give him some confidence in it, because I feel like that's probably the biggest thing for him is confidently like shooting that shot and doing it the same way every time. But he like his work ethic, he really wants to be the best player in the world.
But the one that gets me with him, like that stuff's great out in the open floor, is when he's underneath the basket and he'll be like doing a Euro off of 1 foot, going the opposite way from the rim, or like he'll be matched up against another 280-pound physical specimen and he'll just dunk the ball one-handed. Like the body contortion and balance and strength, that's what I've really never seen. It's when
like
he's
Godzilla
when he's
versus
that
King Kong.
close. Yes, that's a good way to put it. a good
It's
way
like
to put it.
Godzilla versus. It's like no, it's really crazy because when you see him when he first came into the league, how skinny he was, and then if you see him now, his shoulders are like they just never stop, and then his arm, like the length of his arms, never stop. He doesn't back down from anybody. And one person, and you know how I lift. I like to lift. That dude likes to lift. He's like he's in the weight room all the time. He's like, in his legs, they're not strong enough. We got to go more. I'm like, wait, what? We're 3 months in the season. What are you talking about? No, we're just maintaining now. Like, we're not trying to add strength. He wants that contact and like invites that contact. And then for him to be able to do that as fast as you can, and then not really be able to guess which Euro, like when he Euros, which way he's going to go. It's insane. This fool he's a freak.
You're a Bulls. Hold on. You're a Bulls fan. OKC trades Cam. The Bulls traded for Payne. They release him a few months later.
I don't think they knew what they were trading for when they made the trade, for the record. I was saying to someone earlier tonight, Cam's story is a Disney movie. I mean, this guy was scratching for 10 days a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
You know, he was playing on I don't even know the name of this team he was playing for. He was playing for the Shanxi Loons and the Texas Legends.
Yes.
You know, he was getting minutes for the Texas Legends, and now he's dropping 30 points in a game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. And by the way, a clean 30. You know,
it was an efficient 30.
This was not Cam throwing up miracle shots. This guy is in complete control of the game every time. When you played against him, have you noticed that shift? Because you guys, they lit you up in New Orleans once, and then you guys got them, I remember, another time. But I remember when they beat you, he played really, and that was the first time I had sort of seen the new campaign. I was like, wait a second. That's not the same guy.
Yo,
I know they have the same name, but it's not the same guy.
I mean no disrespect to him, because I respect the grind. I respect the player he has become. But early in his career, I remember telling people, like, Payne is not an NBA player. I have no idea why that guy was a lottery pick. I remember telling people that. And he's definitely proven me wrong. He's proven a lot of people wrong. I think a lot of it is confidence. And so you mentioned last year he plays in China. He plays in the G League. They mentioned a bunch on the broadcast tonight, but he gets a call because they needed a body for the bubble. They go 8-0. He plays great in the bubble. He's now got momentum. Personal experience. You know, for me, my third year, our playoff run when we made the finals, that solidified to me when I got to play in that playoff run, that solidified to me that I belonged in the NBA. And so a lot of it is confidence. I think he's naturally an aggressive player, and he's found a balance there of how to be a point guard and be aggressive. But the biggest part to me is and this is important for, I think, every NBA player, is you just have to know who you are. Like, once you figure out who you are, and I used to tell this to Austin Rivers all the time when he was with us in the Clippers, like, what do you do every night? Like, who are you going to be? Like, we all want to be an all-star. We all want to get 15 to 20 shots a game. That's going to be 2 guys. That's going to be 3 guys maybe. Like, the other 6 to 7 guys in the rotation, like, who are you going to be every night? Cam has figured that out. And because of that, he's got the confidence to step up in a game 2 at home, no CP, playing against a desperate team, and have a career high. So just props to him, man.
I'll just tell you this story real quick. After getting to Phoenix, I talked to James Jones, and he said we might have a shot at Jae Crowder. So I called him. I called Jay. And another one of them guys, Buzz, like we were in college, I just respect him because he a dog. You know what I mean? He gonna guard. He don't care who it is. He don't care who the guy is. And remember I got into it with Duncan Robinson or whatever.
Oh yeah, we talked to Duncan about this.
Right. I know. I watched it. I saw what he said and all this. You know what I mean? What happened was, I like got into him or something like that, and I hit the ball out, and I legitimately thought that the ball was out on him, right? And so I told the ref, off him, it's off him. He said something like, "Fuck out of here." Something, you know me, Buzz. That's all it takes for me. I was like, "What? All right." So whatever happened, boom, throw it off, whatever. Ain't nobody say nothing to me, right? Like even the stuff that happened where the offensive foul, ain't nobody say nothing to me. Only person who said something to me was Jae Crowder. Jae Crowder was on the bench, and when we went to go take the ball out, he was like, "Yo, CP, what's up with that? What's up with that?" And I was like, he was talking, you know what I mean? So I respect that.
This is the crazy thing. This is what I'm going through in my mind as I'm watching this, and I see the play happen. I'm like, Monty Williams is the most detail-oriented guy I've been around. Like he's Stan Van Gundy, Brad Stevens level of just detail. There's zero chance in my mind that they haven't ran that play. They haven't prepared for that scenario.
Knowing that this was something like this could happen.
Yes, it's incredible.
Why don't more teams run that with the guys? When you have a guy like Ayton or Joel, like why is it not the play every time?
It's a great question because every time I've ever practiced that play in let's say a shoot around or a walkthrough, it's always in an end game scenario. But there's no reason you couldn't run that with 7 minutes and 32 seconds the second quarter. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you could run that whenever you wanted. So I don't know why teams don't. It's probably a little bit of a high risk play. My observation on that play, first of all, tremendous execution. Jae Crowder, great pass. Deandre Ayton, great play. Devin Booker, great screen. We should just talk about a little bit.
Can we talk about the pass for a second? That pass was fucking insane.
It was perfection. So when I've practiced that shot before, that play before, the pass is always coming from the hash mark because you've called a timeout. There's 0.3 seconds, there's 0.2 seconds, whatever it may be. We practice, you throw it towards the rim. At that angle to get the ball where he wasn't completely underneath the basket. He had a little bit of room towards the corner, but at that angle to get the ball perfectly in the cylinder, it was perfection. I got to give him a ton of credit.
What's funny, I was actually Phoenix had the fourth pick, so I was in Phoenix. I went to go meet with the coach and see the facility and see the players and all that. And I remember my agent called me, and I was like, I think I had a flight that night to go back home because this was now like a week before the draft. He was like, "Yo, tomorrow, once you go back to St. Louis, I need you to pack a bag because you're flying to Boston." I'm like, "Why I'm going to Boston?" He like, "It's not out yet, but they're going to trade the first pick and they're going to give it to third and they want to see you work out again." I'm like, "No, I don't want to go to Boston because I want to go to Phoenix because it's nice weather out here. I'll be able to play. I'm going to be able to average 20. I was like, "Boston, they just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not going to play." I'm like, "No, I don't want to go to Boston." 15 minutes later, Coach K calls me. I'm like, "What's up, Coach? How you doing?" He's like, "Hey, I just spoke to Boston, and I think Brad is a great young coach, and I think would be a great fit for you. They're going to trade the pick, and they want to see you work out again. I think you should go." I'm not going to tell Coach K no. So I'm like, all right, I'd go. I didn't want to, not because I didn't like Boston. I just didn't think I was going to play or I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to do.
The mindset you had to want to go to Phoenix, I don't necessarily think that's a bad mindset to have because you understood at the time what, on paper at least, looked like a better fit. So many young guys just want to get drafted as high as possible, and they don't really even between 3 and 4, you're talking about over the life of a contract, a few $1 million.
Yeah.
So to have that mindset of, I just want to get to a place where it's going to be a great fit. I'm going to get an opportunity to play right away. And you ended up obviously hitting a home run on that.
We should mention the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
As we discussed.
Speaking of wired to win, wired to compete.
Yeah, CP is dialed in right now. Of course, Devin Booker's been fabulous, whatever. But the engine to me is CP running pick and roll for that team.
But I was gonna ask you this because Devin, we praise him a lot on the show. The guy's just a bucket getter. Like he can get his shot wherever he wants, whenever he wants. So if you are dialing up a defense to defend these two, and you're talking about Khris being able to do this, and you have a guy like Devin right there, like what are you supposed to do with two guards like that defensively?
I think you have to switch against them, but you have to have the personnel to switch. So it's easier said than done. There was a game earlier this season when I was on New Orleans. We decided to just blitz Khris and Devin pretty much the whole game. And, I don't think Devin took a lot of shots, but Khris ended up with 15 plus assists. They came back in the fourth quarter and they won the game. The problem with Khris, he's so smart. You can't give him the same coverage over and over. He's just going to figure it out. And by the way, he watches tape. And so we had been up in pick and roll so much prior to that game. So he knew it. He knew where all his outlet passes were going to be. And by the end of the first quarter, he had like 7 assists, and you're like, this is going to be a long night with this guy.
I remember that game. You guys were up like 10 or something going into the fourth.
Yeah.
And then
they outscored us like 40-8 in the fourth.
He literally just flipped the switch. And this is against an NBA team, a good NBA team. He just switch, and he's like, this guy gets wherever he wants and does whatever he wants on the court. And he just took over. And it's fun to see him do that in the playoffs. I mean, it doesn't really happen.